What would have happened if SANS didn't make that promise to Toriel? Would Toriel rush out of the ruins sooner than before? Would SANS kill Frisk as they stepped out? These questions will be answered in today's theory. But before getting into the theory, let's first remind everyone what SANS' promise to Toriel even was. In the events of Undertale, when Frisk leaves the ruins, SANS goes to the ruins door where he and Toriel would tell jokes through it. But this day, whenever SANS would tell a joke, he couldn't hear Toriel's laugh. Instead, he heard tears coming through the door. He asked what was wrong, and Toriel asked him to promise her to protect Frisk. SANS hates making promises, but the way Toriel laughed at his jokes, he just couldn't say no. He told Frisk about this promise at Mettaton Resort, but after telling the story, he said something very disturbing. Do you get what I'm saying? That promise I made to her. You know what would have happened if she hadn't said anything? Buddy? You'd be dead where you stand. This has got to be the scariest thing on your first pacifist run. The person who's protected you throughout Snowdin. The person you have grown to love on your journey. He's just told you that he would have killed you if it weren't for Toriel. But then he ends that conversation saying it was just a joke. But this wasn't like his jokes before. This one just felt off. Almost like it wasn't even a joke. So with that out of the way, what would have happened if SANS didn't make that promise to Toriel? I'm only going to cover pacifists in this theory, so let's get into it. Okay, so Frisk fights Toriel like usual, and after spearing her 800 times, she lets them pass. Frisk exits the ruins, and SANS goes up to the door. But instead of accepting the promise this time, he says that he hates making promises, and he has to do his job as a sentry. Toriel says that she understands, and walks away from the door. SANS feels bad about it, but he knows he has to do his job. Seeing Frisk in the distance, he decides not to fight them straight up. Instead, he decides to stay hidden and shoot his gaster blasters at them. As they get closer to the lamp, SANS reveals himself and battles Frisk way more aggressively. Papyrus, hearing the noise, rushes over and sees SANS fighting the human. He is very excited to finally meet a human, and tells SANS that this is his chance to capture one. SANS stops fighting and tells his brother that he can take care of this. Papyrus fights Frisk, and no matter if Frisk gets low on HP or not, they are still captured by either Papyrus or SANS if Papyrus gets tired of fighting. Frisk is locked up in their garage in Snowdin Town, and Papyrus calls Undyne and tells her that he and his brother have captured a human. Undyne rushes over and says that she is very impressed with Papyrus at actually capturing one. As a reward, she makes Papyrus a sentry just like SANS. But then she turns to Frisk, with his spear in hand. But before she can kill Frisk, Papyrus quickly tells her that she doesn't need to destroy the human, and to just deliver them to Asgore. Undyne and Papyrus get into an argument on what to do with the human, and in that time, Frisk finds a way to escape the garage and run ahead. SANS breaks up the argument and points to the garage, where they notice that the human is gone. The three of them sprint towards Waterfall and are hunting the human throughout the entire area. They decide to split up on the search though to be more efficient. Frisk, hiding in the grass, sees the guards walk past them. They eventually step out of the grass and step forward. The first guard they encounter along the way is SANS, who once again pelts them with his gaster blasters. Frisk must dodge the blasters while they progress forward, both outside a battle and within encounters they get. But after a while, the blasters stop, and Frisk has a moment of peace as they continue forward. When they get to the second Undyne bridge in the main game, they actually meet up with Undyne as well. She spawns spears all over the bridge like usual, and still destroys the bridge when Frisk finds the dead end. In the garbage dump, they fight Mad Dummy like usual, and after passing by Garrison's shop, they meet Papyrus, who does not wish to kill them, but would still like to capture them. So Frisk and Papyrus have another battle. Frisk wins to progress the game, and Papyrus starts having second thoughts about capturing them. He tells Frisk that he is going to find Undyne and his brother, and try his absolute best to convince them not to attack him. Moving forward to the Mushroom and Lantern rooms, Undyne and SANS catch up with Frisk, and both of them attack them at the same time. This encounter is way more deadly than the last, but it is quickly stopped when Frisk finds the Echo Flower. Instead of just Undyne closing in, both Undyne and SANS close in on them. But before they can kill Frisk, Monster Kid appears from the bushes and is excited to meet Undyne. Undyne takes him away like in the main game, but SANS is still at the scene. Instead of fighting Frisk, he tells them that Papyrus told him not to capture the human. He also told Frisk that they have proven to be very strong after surviving the endless pursuit of the guards, and he ends off saying that he'll be at his sentry post in Snowdin. Frisk ventures up to the Undyne arena, where they meet up again with the head of the Royal Guard. They battle Undyne, which is pretty much the same as the original game, and they still give Undyne the water in Hotland. But then someone unexpected shows up. Flowey. Flowey mocks the human for just running away from the guards, but admits that they still deserve some credit for making it this far. He tells Frisk that he will see them soon, and retreats underground. Holland is pretty much the same as the original game, with Mettaton and Alphys playing Frisk for a fool, and Mettaton ending the predictable charade at the end of the core. Newham is the same as usual as well, and it's time that Frisk fought Asgore. This fight also goes as normal, but then a familiar face shows up, Toriel. She stops the fight and heals Frisk, and then Papyrus, SANS, and Undyne also show up. Undyne, seeing that Asgore isn't fighting the human, also decides not to fight them anymore. SANS was convinced by Papyrus not to fight them as well, if you remember from earlier, and instead of Toriel recognizing SANS' voice this time, it's the opposite. Toriel thanks SANS for not killing the human, and SANS makes a joke out of it, of course, and she still makes that joke with Papyrus as well. They all stand with Asgore in front of the human, where Toriel is furious with Asgore and Undyne for attempting to take Frisk's soul. Little did she know, SANS was also a part of this, and it was Papyrus you should really be thanking. Flowey appears out of nowhere, and still kills Asgore and captures the rest of the monsters with his vines, and with the other monsters Frisk met in New Home showing up at the scene, Flowey also captures them. It was like every monster in the underground was there. With the 6 human souls and the soul of nearly every monster, Flowey transforms into his true form, Asriel. The first phase goes as usual, but the second phase is a little bit different. Instead of the Lost Soul battles being the same as the original game, it's more like memories of the past encounters with them. Toriel's fight is roughly the same as before, and the fight with Papyrus, SANS, and Undyne is around the same as the previous encounter with them as well. The Asriel fight ends the same way, and he still destroys the barrier. After everyone turns to their senses, Toriel makes the monsters promise not to attack the humans on the surface, which they agree to. And that's the pacifist ending of this version of Undertale. Anyways, that's my theory on what would happen if SANS didn't make that promise to Toriel, and goodbye.